It was really tense this morning already, just when the jury instructions were given. It set Twitter ablaze, or now X rather, and I want to talk about these, and if you could explain them for us. The jury needs to be unanimous in finding Trump falsified business records and knowingly falsified them for another crime, but the jury doesn't need to have a consensus on what that other crime is. Can you explain and elaborate this a little further?
Sure. So the facts of this case are relatively simple, but what's not simple is the legal theory behind the case. And the key thing to understand is that falsifying business records is typically a misdemeanor crime. However, if it's in furtherance of another crime, then that can elevate to a felony. Now, in this case, the Manhattan District Attorney has charged these 34 counts as felonies, meaning that they were in service of another crime. So in order to do that, you have to connect them to another crime. Now, there are different ways that you could do this. So one of the theories is that each individual falsified record is sort of furthering the next one. So you have one crime that's then the second count, then the second count. So those all pile up on each other, and therefore that's how you elevate this from a misdemeanor to a felony. Another theory is that you can say, okay, well, these are all violations of a state election law, which prevents people from unlawfully aiding a campaign. Now, in that theory, these business records, falsified business records, would be essentially a cover-up to maintain the secret from the voting public that Donald Trump had paid off this porn star who alleged that she had sex with him. And so those two theories are different possibilities. And what the judge said in his instructions today is that basically the jury doesn't have to agree on which of the theories add up to the felony. So certain parts of the jury can believe that you take the one misdemeanor and another misdemeanor and another misdemeanor, and that adds up to a felony. Others can connect it with the election law and say that that's what makes it a felony. But if they all agree that they can be elevated, even if they don't agree by the means through which they can be elevated, then you could still convict them of felonies.
Donald Trump obviously had a lot to say about this case as a whole, and he said this today, quote, "Mother Teresa could not beat these charges. These charges are rigged. The whole thing is rigged." Is there any indication from these comments that the Trump team is already teeing up for a guilty verdict?
Well, look, Donald Trump has a long history of sort of planning for if things don't go his way. You see this with elections. You know, he very famously was asked whether he'd support the results of previous elections. He said, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. And then ultimately, when he lost the 2020 election, he claimed that he had won. So he's sort of, getting ahead of that here, where if he is convicted, he's going to be able to say, see, I've been saying this whole time that this is all rigged. Now, if he is acquitted, then I suppose he would say, hey, I guess I'm more holy than Mother Teresa or whatever. It's sort of either way it plays in his favor.